Today is stretch and strength yoga. So, little bit of strength building, a lot of stretching today. We're going to work towards splits. So, don't worry if you're nowhere near there. We're just working on lengthening the backs of our legs. We're going to do a bunch of tricks. So, one of the best ways to lengthen a muscle is also to have it strong so it's not gripping and weak. So we're going to use something slidey. We use a little handheld in the studio because we have wood floors, so it slides easy. If you have carpet, maybe paper plates or something that slides easily on the carpet, and place it at the end of your mat. And we're going to use our yoga blocks today. So grab your props, and get ready to come down onto your back. Bring your feet down onto the ground near the edge of your mat, so it's going to be easy to step off onto your slidey thing. So bring the feet close to the edge, hips close to the edge of your mat, end of your mat. Land on your back. Start to settle into the ground. Take a little side sway of the hips. Begin to notice what is present. And maybe give yourself a little promise to stay focused throughout your practice today. Starting to really land on the mat. So when we work on something as opening as the splits, we want to stay focused. We don't want to be pushing past our limits. So you want to get that mind-body connection and get to know what is present rather than pushing yourself. When you push too far and you're not listening, that's when injuries happen. So start to really notice what is present in your body. Let your shoulders fall to the ground. Notice if there's any tension in around the shoulders. Let your hips fall to the ground. Notice if there's any tension in the lower back or in the backs of the legs. And then start to take a few long breaths, maybe even sighing out of the mouth. Letting go and landing. So noticing if the thoughts are swirling, giving yourself a little promise to really feel all the muscles of the body throughout the practice. And then we'll gently begin to move and breathe. So bring the hands down by the hips. And we're going to inhale as we slowly lift the arms up overhead. And exhale as we slowly bring the arms back down towards the hips. Just connecting with our breath. Inhale. And exhale. Nice and slow. Maybe even keeping the eyes closed for a little bit longer. Starting to feel what is present in the arms and the shoulders. And then inhale, bring the arms up above the shoulders, fingertips to the sky. Pause here for a moment. Lift one shoulder up off the ground at a time, nice and slow. So leaving everything else on the ground, just lifting the shoulder up and then pressing it back down, reaching up and pressing down, trying to find the muscles in the shoulder. And then get to know the muscles in your neck. Watch for muscles in the neck firing up or tension in the neck coming to the surface as you start to work just the shoulders. Press the shoulders down into the ground, nice and slow. Engage, don't drop. And then we're going to inhale, open the arms up to the sides, and exhale, squeeze them back in towards the center. Inhale, open. And exhale, squeeze. Start to really activate the arms and the chest. Notice if there's any gripping in the low back. Notice if you're gripping in the feet. And then let the arms come down. Wherever the shoulders or arms are comfortable, take a little side sway. Make sure there's no tension. And we're going to bring the right leg to a hover. So make sure the hips are nice and grounded and press the stomach down into the ground. Press the hips down into the ground. Press the rib cage down into the ground. Let the little curve of your low back remain. Rather than forcing and tilting the pelvis, push the hips down and engage the whole front line. Really squeezing in towards the midline and then down towards the spine. Hold and hover the right leg nice and strong. Start to find the muscles of the leg. And then we're going to inhale as we draw the knee in and exhale as we push the leg away. So really strong, trying to keep our hips stable and work through the leg. Fire up the leg, find the muscles of the leg. Bring the knee in, take the knee out to the right, maybe letting the left leg come out a little to stabilize the hips. And we're going to do the same thing. Draw the knee in and push the leg out, finding slightly different muscles in the leg. Inhale in, exhale, push the leg away. If it helps to remind you to keep your stomach activated and your hips grounded, you can place your hands on your hips. Watch for tension in the neck. And then bring the knee in and take a really slow circle with the knee. So just trying to find all the ways that the hip can move. Nice and slow. And then place the right foot down, take a side sway, make sure the low back is nice and soft, and then set up your base again. So push the hips down, push the rib cage down, fire up the muscles of the stomach. And bring the left leg up to a hover and bind all the muscles of the left leg. Really engage, be present with your muscles. Inhale, draw the knee in. Exhale, press the heel away. Nice and strong core, stable hips. Draw the knee in and then take the knee a little bit over to the left. Not so far that your hip is pulling up. Nice and grounded, leg strong. Right leg can fall to the right. Inhale, draw the knee in. Exhale, press the foot away. Strong core, stable hips. Watch for tension in the low back. Try to fire up the core to keep everything stable. And draw the knee in and take a couple of slow circles with the knee, just moving the leg around in the hip. Feeling the muscles, not flopping the leg around, but engaging the leg muscles. And then lower the left leg down, take a little side sway. Bring the knees up above the hips. Secure your base, so press your hips down, press your rib cage down, core activated. Holding the thighs, we're going to take the feet out to the outside. So pull the feet both out towards the shoulders, keeping the legs where they are, keeping the knees and the thighs where they are. Pull the heels out. Feel the outsides of your legs activate. And then keeping the thighs where they are, draw the feet slowly in towards each other. Trying to move from below the knee. Draw the heels out and then draw the heels in. Nice and slow. Watch for tension in the low back. Really engage the core to keep this out of your back. Spread the toes wide. Start to fire up the muscles of the feet. And then lower the feet, knees up, and take a little side sway. We're going to place our heels on our slidey mat. We're going to bring our hips right to the very edge of the mat. So wiggle down. We're going to fire up the muscles of the legs. So we really want to find the muscles of the back of the legs. So press the heels into the ground. Pull the toes up towards the shins. Find the muscles of the backs of the legs and the glutes. Slowly slide your feet away, trying to keep the legs engaged. Really, really, really engage as slow as you can, and then draw the heels back towards the glutes as slow as you can. Try to keep the hips grounded. Slow, 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 slide away. And slow draw back in, really using the backs of your legs. Lengthen the legs and then draw the heels back towards the glutes. Really firing up the muscles of the legs. You might notice some cramping. Find your breath, work with your breath. Stay present with the muscles of the legs. Take a break if you need it. Really try to strengthen the back of the legs. And then slowly draw the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Take some ankle circles, pedal out the feet. Take a little break, feel the legs and the feet. Take the feet to the ceiling, and pedal out the feet, spread the toes, ankle circles. Just feeling the legs. And bring the knees back in, roll on over to a side, and make your way to a tabletop position. Move and breathe in tabletop. So inhaling tabletop, exhaling towards a child's pose shape. Starting to focus in on your hips, your arms, your shoulders. You can take hip circles, you can sway side to side. You can take little bends in the elbows. Start to make this your practice. Notice what is present in your muscles. Notice what is present in the chest, in the arms, in the shoulders. And then bring it back to a tabletop position. Set up your foundation really strong. So find a position where your wrists are comfortable and your entire arm and chest can be engaged. Really draw up out of the ground. Start to engage the core and lift the right leg. Even with the hip, engage the right leg. And we're going to take the right leg out towards the right. Slow, slow, slow. And pulse it here, lifting with the heel. If this is too much, bend the knee. Lifting up out of the ground, don't sink into the shoulders. And then take the leg even with the hip, bend the knee, and little pulses of the heel up to the ceiling. Still not sinking into the shoulders. Engaged arms. Engage chest. Watch for tension in the low back. Try not to buckle into the back. Lower the toes and press through the heel, lengthening through the back of the leg. And you can take this static or you can take little pulses. Lower the right knee. Change your base a little. Maybe turn your fingertips a different way. Set up nice and strong in the chest, really pulling yourself up out of the ground, not sinking into the shoulders. Really strong left leg even with the hip. Long. Fire up the muscles of the leg and slowly bring the left leg towards the left hand. And then little pulses, pull towards the left hand. Engaged. Keep the work in the leg, in the hip, in the glutes, not in the low back. Take the leg even with the hip, bend the knee, little pulses of the heel to the ceiling. Lower the toes and then press through the heel. Again, little pulses or static. Slowly bring the left leg down and make your way to down dog. Find whatever feels right for you right now to warm up your down dog shape. And then find the stillness of down dog. Connect to lifting your hips up out of the ground. So really pulling as if you're pulling your tailbone up out of the ground. Engaged arms, engaged chest. Pulling yourself out of your wrists rather than just resting in your wrists. Lift up strong. Bend both knees. And then we're going to slowly press one heel at a time down to the ground. Pressing a heel, leaving the other leg bent. Really working through the back of the legs. Still engaged in the arms and the chest. Long, slow breath. And then find yourself in a down dog. Slowly lift the right heel up towards the ceiling without adjusting the weight in your arms and shoulders. Engage from the fingertips to the heel. Really lifting long. Bend the knee and step through for low lunge. Find your blocks if you have them. So set up your low lunge and warm through the legs. So we're going to inhale as we bend the front knee, exhale as we send it towards straight, using your blocks for support. Engaged legs. Sending the left leg towards straight also and pulling from the calf muscle down. And then find a steady low lunge, strong legs, both legs strong. Maybe even leaving your blocks and coming up off that right thigh. And then inhale as you rise all the way up, high lunge. I'm going to work through back leg, front of the hip. You might want to pop that back foot in for balance. So find a strong base, hips even, both legs engaged. Hands of prayer. We're going to slow, lower the left knee towards the ground. Hold it here. Engage the front of the left hip, really strong. You can keep an eye on your hips by holding your hips. And then we're slowly going to send the left heel towards the ground and bend the knee. Left heel towards the ground, opening left hip. Opening back of leg. Watch for crunching in this right leg. Keep the right leg engaged. Watch for what's going on in the right hip. And then find your high lunge. hands of prayer. We're going to bring our body weight over the front leg and maybe pop up to warrior three. Left leg really, really, really long. Long from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Bend the left leg. Bend the right leg. Tuck left leg behind right. Engage both legs. And then slowly come on up to stand. Left knee comes all the way forward, leg engaged. Watch the hips. Try to keep them even. Right hip not popping out. Squeeze towards midline. Get long in the spine. We're going to work front hip flexors. So draw the knee up and press the heel away. Slow. Draw the knee up. Slowly send the knee past the right and come back through warrior three to a high lunge. Oh, tripping on my tongue today. Frame out the front foot. Right foot meets left. Back to down dog. Notice left and right sides. Step the left foot in a little closer to the left wrist. Maybe land the heel down. Lift the hips up out of the ground. Find a little length. Slowly return the left foot back to meet the right. And then step the right foot in. Maybe land the heel down. Pull the hips up out of the ground. Get longer. Back to down dog. Set up your base really strong, lifting up out of the wrists. And then slowly lift left leg high. And then step through low lunge. And warm up your low lunge shape. Inhale as you bend. Exhale as you pull back. So working with your breath. Finding movement through the hips and the legs. Engaged legs. Find a strong low lunge. Start to lift up off that left thigh. Left leg super engaged, pulling up out of the ground. Maybe even lifting your arms up off your blocks. And then deep inhale as you rise up, high lunge. Find your hands of prayer and adjust your base so your balance is strong. Find your hips even, lower the back right knee. Find that place where both legs are engaged and we're not sinking into this left hip, it's engaged. You're engaged all the way through the hip and the leg. Lower the knee, and we're going to slowly pull the heel towards the ground and then bend the knee. So left leg stays really still, stomach is engaged, torso is long. Find a high lunge, bring the weight over the left leg. Slowly pop up into warrior three. Engage that right leg. Bend the back knee. Bend the front knee. Tuck right behind left. Engage legs, hold. And then slowly come all the way up to stand. Right knee forward, hips even. Strong leg. Inhale, draw the knee up. Exhale, push the heel away. Hands can come in and join the work. You can keep them at prayer. You can place them on your hips. Lots of choices. See where you're at. Draw the right knee up. Send it past the left slowly through warrior three. And lower down, high lunge. Hold the high lunge. Frame out the front foot. Left foot meets right high plank. Hold here. Lift up out of the ground. Super engaged in the chest. And then lower down to a child's pose and take a break. Reset. Forgot my clock. Come on up to a tabletop position and grab your blocks handy. We're going to step the right leg forward. So step forward. Find the place where you start to feel an opening on left leg. You may need to adjust. Lift up off the back leg. Find where you're starting to feel opening in the hip. We're going to move here. So start to engage both legs. So pulling up out of the ground with the right leg. Really strong. Hold your blocks for balance. We're going to lower, push left thigh towards the ground. Push it towards the ground. And then engaging both legs, not letting go of that engagement. Send the hips back towards the left heel. So now we're starting to find the back of the right leg. Really engage, slowly push left hip forward. Find length. So the more you bring your torso up, the more you're going to find length. Engage. Keeping that engagement, slowly pull the left thigh back and lengthen the right leg. Pull forward. Engage. And send it back. This time when you come forward, maybe you have a little more movement. You may be able to lift up off this back leg and wiggle it back a little further. Maybe able to pull your torso a little longer, keeping this right leg engaged. Slowly send the hips back and switch legs. So right knee meets left and bring left leg forward. Take a little wiggle. Make sure you're set up. Make sure your knee is you're not aching or hurting your knee. Place something underneath it if you have a sensitive knee. We're gonna pull right hip forward, pull it forward and lengthen up through the spine. Left leg stays engaged. Keeping that engagement, really slowly pull the hips back towards the right heel. Find length in the back of the left leg. Slowly pull right hip forward. Lengthen the spine, pull, engage the front of the right hip. Slowly pull back, lengthen through the back of the left leg. And then pull forward. And this time maybe adjust the leg back a little, lift up on your blocks, wiggle the foot back, and pull. Slowly send the hips back. Left knee meets right. Move your blocks. Find tabletop. And then down dog. Take the crown of your head to the ground. Maybe shake the head no. Let some things that you no longer need fall to the mat. Nice slow breath. Are you still present? Are you watching the clock? Are you running away with your to-do list? Start to take little movements. Find your breath. Make sure you're landing back in the physical body. Bend both knees, look towards the hand, step the right foot outside of the right hand, left foot outside of the left hand. You can grab your block here for extra support. We're going to strengthen the backs of the legs by coming down to squat. So finding your squat, we are going to press through the heels and lengthen up as we inhale. Exhale, bring your prayer through midline and come back down to squat. Press through the legs. So super engaged legs here. We're not flopping down into the edge of our joints and hanging out with no muscular engagement. We're strengthening. Press through the legs, lift up, and pull down. Feet and legs are engaged, toes are not gripping, face is soft. And then come all the way up. Step it in, mountain pose, and bring your hands to prayer. Find your legs, find your base, soften and center. Step the right foot back a little bit, not high lunge. We're coming to pyramid pose. So, long in the legs, land the legs strong. No locking of the knees, so strong muscles. Start to engage both legs and then take the torso a little bit forward. Start to feel like you're pulling the left heel back towards the right without letting it move. And if you're not feeling this, you're going to bend the right knee nice and slow. Send the hips back a little. Maybe lift the toes of the left leg. So rather than further folding forward, bending, pulling, engaging, and challenging your balance. Woo. And if you're still not feeling this, you're going to use your block. So get strong on the right leg, and bring the left heel onto the block. Start to fold forward. Breathe. Take a nice slow stretch. So find the point where your muscles are talking to you, not screaming at you. Find that not end zone point, right in the middle where they're engaged, they're lengthening, and then breathe into it. Really go to the place where you feel the muscle tight and send fresh breath there. Slowly adjust back to mountain pose. Step out both legs and notice left and right sides. Switch your block if you're going to use your block. We're going to step left foot back. Right foot forward. Start in pyramid pose. So start, feel pyramid pose. Start to lengthen from the hips to the crown of the head. Both legs engaged, and then tilt the torso forward a little bit. So long in the spine. Feel like you're pulling that right heel back towards the left heel or back towards the right hip without letting it move. Lengthen the leg. Experiment. If this is not long enough for you, bend the back leg. pull the toes of the right foot up. Challenge your balance. Or bringing the right heel onto the block. I'm pulling from here. Nice, long, slow stretch. Breathe. Release. Stay present in the leg. Slowly adjust back to mountain pose. Tap out the feet, tap out the legs. And let's connect to our breath. Inhaling up. Exhaling, drawing our heart to heart. Inhale up. Exhale, heart to heart. Step open, long side of the mat. Not too wide with your feet. Grab your block. So not too wide. Little bit wider than hip width. A little bit wider than your mat perhaps. Find the backs of your legs first. So really feel like you're trying to rip the mat apart with your feet. Engage the whole leg. Then bring the torso down and maybe find your block. So staying here, feeling the backs of your legs. We're taking some options. Options here, keeping the legs engaged. You can slowly draw hips left and right, starting to feel slightly different areas of the muscles of the legs. Maybe feeling it opening on the inner thigh. Another option is to slowly pull one heel up off the ground and then the other, but you're trying to keep the engagement in the leg and not move your spine and your hips. Try to keep the tension out of your neck. Stay present in the muscles of the legs. And then bending into the knees, strong stomach. Inhale, come all the way back up to stand. Step forward, mountain pose. Inhale, arms overhead. This time swan dive it down. With the exhale, step the right foot back, left foot back. Lower the knees. And we're going to work towards our splits. So legs are nice and warm. Lots of tricks to help keep us safe, to help keep us present. So rather than sliding where our muscles are not ready to let us go, we're going to use our blocks. We're going to take our left leg forward. Make sure your right knee is comfortable and just start to wiggle it forward. Wiggle it forward, and then we're going to move through the leg. So you're going to move the hips forward and pull the leg back. Not as engaged as we were doing before. Starting to wiggle forward, maybe adjusting the blocks. Starting to feel where your tension is. And then maybe you can wiggle the foot further forward, further forward. I need to come back off my mat. So starting to take the foot forward, wiggle the heel. Keeping some of the weight on your blocks. So you're really not landing on this leg yet. Keep the weight on your blocks. Move through left leg. And then maybe you can start to wiggle it a little further forward. Move through the leg, keeping the weight on your blocks. So really keeping strong arms, keeping strong chest. And then maybe you can come all the way down. Maybe you're nowhere near this. If you're still up here in a half split, go ahead and just play with the leg. Feel, work towards your splits. And if you get here, keep working through the leg. Keep moving through the leg, moving the foot. feeling the muscles. And if you adjust one arm up at a time, and then maybe you can adjust to lift and engage. Go slow. Be kind to your muscles. And then slowly, slowly wiggle this front foot back in by keeping your weight on your blocks. And take it back. We're going to take some circles. So just moving your blocks to the side, come back to a tabletop, and just swing the hips around in a nice slow circle. Taking time to notice left and right sides. And then back in the other direction. And then come on back to your knees. Adjust your blocks. Other side, we have another leg. So slowly wiggling right foot forward. Find the place where you can feel a little bit of engagement in the leg and start to move through the leg, pushing the toes away, pulling them back. Keeping some of the weight on the blocks. And then wiggle the toes a little bit further forward, a little bit further apart. And then adjust and wiggle and wiggle and move. Keeping the weight on the blocks first. So really lifting up on these blocks. Keeping a lot of the weight up on the blocks just so that you can get to know the muscles of the legs and you don't push into injury zone. So really feel muscles of the legs move. Notice which one's higher than the other. And play. And then when you're done playing, slowly adjust and come on up to a seat. Take the legs out in front of you. Legs out wide. Not super wide, just a little wide. And take some wiggles. Wiggle the legs, jiggle the legs back and forth. Really notice what is present. And then land the heels, bend the knees, pull the toes back, and push the toes down. So watch for low back. You may even want to just grab your blocks, lean back. A little engagement in the stomach so the low back is nice and safe. Notice what is present. Take the legs a little wider. Land the heels, soft bend in the knees. Lifting up, and then take the right hand and roll down on the thigh. Take the left hand, roll down on the thigh. So the palm of the hand, grab the thigh and roll. Little circulation, just a little massage. Watch for any tension in the low back. Point the toes, engage the legs, pull the toes back without locking the back of the knee. And then bring the soles of the feet together and draw the knees down to the ground. Again, you can grab your blocks to lean on. Nice and long in the spine. And then slowly make your way down to your back. Taking your time, landing down on your back. And all the work is done. Notice how your legs feel. Keeping your left foot down, knee up, keeping your right hip grounded. Take your right leg to the ceiling and just notice what is present. Start to feel the back of the leg, point and flex the foot. Maybe your leg feels a little longer, maybe it feels a little tighter. And bending the knee, take your fingertips and work them into the back of the calf. So really bringing some circulation here. Trying to keep the leg loose. Make sure the low back is nice and comfortable, neck is comfortable. Take some work into the calf. And then take the backs of the fingers and work through the thigh. Take the fingertips, work through the thigh. And bend the knee. Slowly bring the right leg down. Take the left leg up. Notice what is present. Just kind of move the leg around, move the foot around. Notice what you feel. And bend the knee. Bring the fingertips, backs of the fingertips, press them into the back of the foot, calf. Move them around. And jiggle up the muscle. Bring some circulation here. And then move around on the thigh, leg bent. You can also just take the palm of your hand and take circles on the thigh. And then bring both feet down. Take them a little further away from the glutes than you normally do. So you have a nice bend in the knee. Hips are nice and grounded, and we're going to work through a little reset of the legs. So, two ways you can do it. You can press the weight, wiggling your hips left and right, letting the legs and the hips wiggle and soften. Or you can lift and drop the hips about enough to slide a piece of paper underneath the hips. You're really loose. So lifting and dropping, or left and right shakes. You want that somatic shake of the muscle, completely soft and loose, really loosening. So find whichever way works better for you to really loosen the legs. Trying to imagine letting go of any gripping, any holding patterns, any tension in the legs, and the hips and the feet. Really let go, soften and loosen like a bowl of jelly. Take a deep breath in, and with this exhale, suddenly release all movement and notice where the body lands. Notice if one leg is pulling in one direction and the other leg is pulling in the other. Notice if feet are turned out different ways. It can help tell your body where your holding patterns are. And then lengthen the legs, point the toes, and take the arms up over the head. Reach from the fingertips to the toes, lengthening as long as you possibly can. And then take the feet a little bit over to the right and the shoulders a little bit over to the right, making a big banana shape on the ground. Watch for tension in the neck. Lengthen the left side body and send your breath as if gently pressing between each rib. Slowly come back through center and send the feet over to the left and the shoulders a little bit over to the left. Lengthen right side body. Adjust so the neck is soft. Slowly bring the torso and the feet back into midline. Bring the feet onto the ground, knees up, and take a little side sway. Make sure the low back is nice and soft. And start to think about where you would like to be for your final resting pose. So, traditionally, resting pose is taken in a corpse pose, nice and long. And we did do a lot of lengthening of the back of the legs. So maybe today is the day where you want to lengthen into corpse pose. Invitation, if you're going to take corpse pose, to take it wider. So take your arms wider and take your feet wider and really take up some space. Give yourself permission to really take up space on your mat. So now that we lengthen the back of our legs, maybe you have a little more space in your body to be absolutely comfortable in this pose. However, if you are not comfortable, 100% comfortable in corpse pose, then adjust, find your props. Find a different position for your body, maybe placing something under the knees, maybe curling up in an entirely different position. Begin to find your blanket, any props that you need for your additional comfort. Finding your comfort, your resting pose, the pose where you can release all of the tension from the body and become the closest to a corpse you can possibly become. Soft, loose, free of tension. Begin to release the focus even on your breath. Release control of your breath. Surrender into the mat. And the card I pulled today is about focus. What you give your attention to matters. Everything you think, say, love, and do matters, and has left an imprint on the planet and throughout your lineage. When you give your attention to something, you attract energy and support from the universe. By choosing to focus on things that are in alignment with your core values, you will heed your life's purpose and stay true to your calling. So my intention is to stay true to my core values by focusing my energy on things that are in alignment with my heart and my soul. So as you're starting to melt into the ground, we're going to play with our focus, play with our attention, our focus. Learning to bring our mind, our soul, our heart into focus, into single point focus, practicing doing so. And it is when we become so still and so soft and so focused that we're able to hear the inner voice that tells us of our core values, the inner voice that tells us when we're in line or not in line with those core values. And it's when we take these resting poses and get so soft and so focused that we can adjust our behaviors, adjust some of the things that are getting in the way, without cognitively knowing what they are. So rather than taking a brain-led journey, try to soften and have an experience. Try not to label what the things are that you may need to change and adjust, but just trying to have a soft experience. So begin by landing right in the center of the mind, as if thinking of the brain and thinking of the very center of the brain being this place just below all the places that fire in the brain. So the thoughts are just neurons firing in our brain, and they go constantly. So we're going to look at the thoughts, look at what is present, notice what is present, and we're going to sit in the center as if we're just a little bit below those thoughts. Maybe you can imagine a little TV screen on the back of your eyes, and the thoughts are flowing on that little screen, and you're sitting just somewhere far away, noticing them pass by. It's not that we stop the firing of the brain. It is that we draw ourselves a little further away from it so that we can be less bothered by the constant firing of the brain. Drawing yourself inward, slower and slower, and noticing if you get caught up in one particular thought stream and you follow it down a path. And without chastisation, without beating yourself up, just gently draw back to that center point, slowly, softly, kindly. And then we're going to imagine that in the center of our chest is a nice warm cave, surrounded by the sound of our own life force, our heartbeat. And we're going to gently imagine a little miniature version of ourselves walking from the center of our mind and slowly walking down our spine as if our spine were a spiral staircase. We're going to walk down towards that cave in the center of our chest. And the closer we get, the further away the thoughts are. And the more warm and welcome and safe we begin to feel, getting closer and closer and closer to our life force, our heartbeat. This warm cave in the center of our chest. Maybe you imagine your cave is filled with soft, fluffy cushions, and as you get there, you curl up in this nice, warm, cozy cave, far away from the distractions of the world, far away from the distractions of the physical body, far away from the distractions of the mind, deep inside, surrounded by the constant hum of your own heartbeat. Feeling cozy and warm, protected, and surrounded by the hum of your own life force. Whenever the mind threatens to draw you away, or the distractions of the world threaten to draw you away, gently paint in the details of your warm cave. Maybe even beginning again and walking slowly down the spine to your cave, feeling the distractions further and further and further away. If you have the time to take practicing remaining in your cave, spending some time resting from the distractions of the world in the center of your chest, listening to the sound of your own heartbeat. Please take as much time as you need. If you need to finish up at 60 minutes, we are coming right up on that 60-minute mark. So begin to slowly adjust, wiggle, make your way to a fetal position if you're not there already. And take a moment in the fetal position to curl up in a ball. And without cognitively thinking about what that might be, Imagine softening some of your burdens, some of your worries, and some of the things that might be in way or distracting from your moral compass. Things that are not in alignment with your heart and your soul. Try not to think of cognitively what they might be. Just imagine softening and letting them go onto the mat. Our mind is a very, very powerful tool. And we don't need to scientifically explain in our head everything that goes on. We can do some practices that just feel good, and that's it. That's all they need to do. They feel right, they feel good. We don't need to explain it. But we can imagine dropping some things we're ready to let go of, and then coming to a seat, bringing our hands to prayer at heart space, and taking a moment to acknowledge the fire within, the light within, our soul. Only when we choose to acknowledge, to get to know, to bring our focus to our own soul and spirit, our light within, can we possibly know when we're in line with our own moral compass. So just acknowledging that little guide within, and then taking a moment to acknowledge everyone else's little guide within. So imagine your guide, your inner compass, bowing and nodding to everyone else's inner compass, as if by making your own inner compass stronger, you can extend and help people in your circle and people in your community extend and grow and listen to their own inner compass. And may we all know a little love, a little light. Thanks for joining me.